A-team on the ground with us, Jessica Tarlov and Lisa Boothe, both Fox News contributors. Welcome.
Good morning, guys.
Lisa, did he steal some thunder from the Democrats last night? Big crowd.
Big crowd. Yeah, I mean, and look, this is smart strategy. He did the same thing in Iowa. He held a rally there before the Iowa caucuses because it serves a couple different purposes. One, it sort of sucks up the oxygen. It gets some media attention in the states when Democrats would prefer the focus to be on the primary process. And then secondly, those are general election states as well. Iowa went to President Obama twice in 2008, 2012. President Trump brought it back into the Republican column in 2016. And then New Hampshire, he only lost by 0.4%. And New Hampshire could end up being a tiebreaker depending on how close the Electoral College is in the general election. So it's just smart strategy.
He landed and went to that rally, and he said his goal, Jessica, was to shake things up for Democrats on the ground here. Did he?
I mean, he certainly gave people who are supporting him and independents who are considering it a show, right? So this week is all about being the second in the nation and getting out there and making sure that your vote counts. And he wanted to make sure that the other option was represented, because you can go to a Pete rally. I saw Amy Klobuchar last night on the street just shaking hands outside of a bar. I mean, retail politicking is happening. And so why shouldn't the sitting president get in on the action there? His family is here. He has surrogates everywhere. I was with Kayleigh McEnany last night from the campaign. It's smart strategy, as Lisa said. And today is definitely about the Democrats, but I certainly don't begrudge him that. And if he wants to get a last-minute jolt of, baby-killing socialists out there, that's the way to do it. It gets televised and as inaccurate.
Not just that. He wanted to take Democrats on for what he was talking about was a disastrous caucus situation in Iowa. He did it again last night. Here's the president.
The Democrat Party wants to run your health care, but they can't even run a caucus in Iowa. I wanted to see who won. They said there's a little problem. Little did they know. Does anybody know who won Iowa?
Well, Pete and Bernie both think they know who won Iowa. It was a really bad week. I was on air as we were trying to peddle through all of this with no real information and everyone just kind of throwing out rumors like, I heard this from this camp or that camp. With the Iowa caucuses, which are still not called, we'll have New Hampshire results certified, I'm sure, before that. Then Trump's acquittal, the State of the Union, and his approval hitting near 50%. I don't know one Democrat who feels good. And that's why you had James Carville out there suddenly doing a full media blitz saying, get it together. And one of his lines that resonated most with me is, I want to be a winner. This is about power. Politics is about power. It's not about ideology or purity tests. What are you going to do to make sure that you get the most electoral votes and that we can take back the White House?
The other thing is Carville is standing up against socialism, and Amy Klobuchar was the only Democrat in this race who put her hand up in that debate Friday night. The last debate here in New Hampshire said, I'm not for socialism. I'm going to stand up. Here she is on her surge. Let's listen to that.
Something's happening here, and I think a lot of it, I've been here, I think 22 times, but after that debate, something switched. And we'd done a lot of hard work to get there, but it just allowed the people of New Hampshire to see me in a different way, not just my policies, but also where I was coming from my heart.
Lisa, you can react to Klobuchar, but also what it means if she finishes, say, third, and someone like Biden is fourth or fifth.
Well, I mean, I think that means more for Biden than necessarily for Klobuchar, because that might just be the end of the Biden candidacy in his campaign. I think the challenge for Klobuchar is if you look ahead at states like Nevada, Bernie Sanders has been there since the spring. You look at states like California, which are enormously expensive to play, and you're talking about over, I think, a dozen media markets or something like that. It's an incredibly expensive state. Bernie Sanders has already invested a lot in California, so has Bloomberg. So you look ahead at some of these contests, and is it too late to kind of build that organizational structure that you need to win in both these early states and then the Super Tuesday states? And then also you look at Bernie. Look, he almost won Iowa. He's probably going to win tonight. He might win Nevada, and then you head into South Carolina with some serious wind at your back. And then you look at California, and he could potentially win California, which is a hugely delegate-rich state. So I don't know. I mean, Bernie Sanders could catch on a roll and catch some steam that might be unstoppable.
There's one thing that they're all united on the ground in these rallies yesterday, Democrats at least. They're united in wanting to beat the president. Right. Elizabeth Warren had a message for her party. Here she is.
The way that we beat Donald Trump is that we remember he's the enemy, right? He's the guy who's out there undercutting every democratic value. It's about our Democratic Party emerging. We can't have a repeat of 2016, where two parts of the party are fighting with each other.
Well, the enemy was holding a rally with thousands who showed up to hear him speak.
Absolutely. It was the same in Iowa. My flight was held in the air above Des Moines Airport because Air Force, I know. I was like, this is
So
my
sad,
weekend.
It's all about you.
It is all about, well, it's all about him, unfortunately. But hearing that from Elizabeth Warren is quite welcome. I mean, we had in Iowa last weekend, Rashida Tlaib openly booing Hillary Clinton. She's a key Sanders surrogate. We need to be unified in this, but it also shows the difficulty in people edging out each other when you have this many candidates. I mean, you have to differentiate yourself. You have to raise your hand and say, hey, I don't think that democratic socialism is a way to win a general election. You might do really well in a primary, and we should add a primary that is full of liberal white people. We still have not heard from African American and Latino voters in any great numbers. That's where Bernie Sanders could do well in Nevada. He has the highest share of Hispanic voters. And obviously, Joe Biden is counting on an African American firewall in South Carolina there, though Bloomberg is eating into everybody's numbers, which is a fascinating subplot to all of this. So yes, we need to be unified against Trump here, but the only one I think who's been consistent on that is Joe Biden. He came in as the front runner, and he's eye on the prize, right? He doesn't need to take
As of today, Jessica, who's your party's best shot at taking on Donald Trump?
I think it's Joe Biden or Mike Bloomberg. At this point, I think Biden is significantly weakened, and he doesn't have a lot of cash laying around. And as Lisa pointed out, it is hugely expensive to be on the air.
Lisa, you heard
forward.
Senator Graham saying, look, if it's Bloomberg, you're going to have all the Bernie people saying, wait a second, it's a white billionaire. When he's been railing against billionaires, the Bernie people may stay home.
Yeah, it's an interesting juxtaposition. And I think that's a challenge for Democrats as well. I mean, do they come away with this, and do they get through the convention in Milwaukee, and do they have a consensus candidate? Do they have someone that the Democratic Party is solidly behind? Because, look, President Trump has incumbency, which is so strong. It is very hard to be an incumbent president. He has a massive financial war chest as well that he has been amassing as Democrats have been duking it out. And then you look at the economy, and you've got more people support his economy, 63%, than they've supported any president's economy since 2001. So you combine all of those things, he's going to be really, really, really hard to beat.
All right, she's fired up.
I am, because we're in New Hampshire.
I actually agree with her, which makes me sad. But this is going to be really hard.
Great 18. Thanks for coming in.